What's up, y'all? I just wanted to talk about this whole new revelation that a lot of people are coming to, talking about, us as black people, we are the Hebrew Israelites and things like that. And that's cool. I've kind of figured this out years and years ago, as so did a lot of other people. The time was going to come. Even as a kid, I always thought it was weird, when I would see what they call Jewish people, I'd be like, that don't make no sense. Why, and then how did these ones end up? So it's a lot of deep stuff that this can go into. But my whole thing is, um, as far as telling us this right now, right, and people accepting it, it's a dangerous thing. We're as black people not in a good place right now to be hearing something like that. When you're talking about telling someone that has always been told you are Africans, you were uncivilized Africans, and not understanding the correlation or the link that we don't really speak about too much between how we ended up in Africa being bought and sold as slaves in between where we were beforehand. That book, that Bible, is literally your story. It shows your lineage. It shows the corruption and the fall. For us to get arrogant about something like that would be ridiculous. You should be ashamed of yourself that not only back then, but still to this day, as the chosen, set apart people, y'all, come on, keep up with me here. Set apart people, you still are the first to turn away from God. Everybody in the Bible was not a Hebrew, right, or a part of the lineage. So, and not all black people are Hebrews. So, with that being said, what is that? What all does that entail? When we're talking about, basically what I'm trying to say is that we're still for enough, and we're modern day 40 years. You gave up your God. So a lot of Hebrews like other white man, you know, oh, they trying to worship our God or whatever. God is our God. God is black. Jesus is black. Regardless, God made salvation for everybody once He sent His Son to this earth, right? And because the reason why He did that is because we kept turning our backs. We were the set apart people. This is a fact. White people will tell you this. There are white people who've been telling us this for years. I don't know what Kyrie Irving and Kanye West got to do with why you guys are just now seeing it, but okay, it's cool, right? This is the time that it was supposed to happen. There was a time that was supposed to happen where people were shredded apart, given a new identity, beat up because you wanted to be, you were set apart, but you wanted to be with the world so bad. And you see this today, to this day. So keep up with me here. You want to be part of the world so bad that God gave you over to the world. Here, take on the world's last names: Toussaint, White, Johnson, Williams, right? Take on their language, English, right? Take on their identity, and then we're gonna give you a false identity, right? This ghetto hood. I'm a thug. I'm the real N word. Blah 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 blah. Whoop de whoop. So you won't ever know who you are, and then by the time you do find out who you are, you're so arrogant and so cocky. It don't matter that you know who you are anyway. All you're gonna do is take it, instead of worshiping God and going back and say, "Dang, we gave up our own God, our own Father. We had the Most High." Right? What you do is you turn around and you go worship yourself. I'm a Hebrew. I mean, black people didn't know how to act when they was telling us, "Oh, y'all were kings and queens in Africa." Do you know how these, all due respect, how these N words gonna act now that they think that they're the people in the Bible? Realizing, okay, in the Bible we gave our own God up, and that's why God gave us up, and He opened the door for everyone else. Because there's other people who were like, "I'll lift you up, God. I'll praise you. I'll follow you out." We wanted to go follow the Egyptians and all these other people and their gods, lowercase g. So now the veil is being lifted. What are black people going to do with this information? Because right now it looks like we just walk around in circles in the wilderness for 40 years, just like we once were. And it's not just black people, by the way. See, according to this chart that I have here, right? And I'm not gonna sit here and try to act like I know everything because I don't. I don't know where this chart derived from. Some people will tell you something they're not gonna admit to you that they're just reading off what they've been told. And I'll just read to you what this chart states is that, and I'm just gonna read to you the black tribes, which would be Levi, Benjamin, and Judah. Levi being the modern Haitians, Judah being the modern African American. I realize that maybe by now my screen might be frozen. So just listen to me. Benjamin being Caribbean people, Jamaican, West Indies, right? That's three. Some would even argue maybe Reuben. Some would even argue possibly maybe even Simeon. Reuben being of Australia or uh, Reuben being Seminole Indians. And then obviously Simeon being Dominicans. But then you have Gad, North American Indians, Asher, South and Central Americans, Issachar, Mexicans, Naphtali, Hawaiians, Pacific Islanders, Manasseh, Cubans, Ephraim, Puerto Ricans, Zebulon, Panamanians. I'm pretty sure there's a mixture of other kind of people as well because we've been scattered abroad. What you gonna do with the information though? You gonna get cocky and start talking crazy to white people or Gentiles or Greeks or Romans who God opened the door for them to come and they accepted your God more than you did. And that's why they run all these religions and stuff like that and they then took over your identity, some of them. Like you gotta think about it from a perspective of, okay, cool, so we Hebrews, alright, we know our history now. We realize these things. When do we break the mold though? Because I think a lot of black people think that we're doing good in society right now because you see black people driving Lamborghini trucks. And let's call it what it is. That's why we think we're doing good is because we see rich black people or what we think is rich black people. And my whole thing is like, yeah, I hear you, but we're still lost mentally. We're more lost than we've ever been before. The people, the powers at be, right? We battle not with flesh and blood. The powers that be wanted us to be this lost. So by the time we would find this information that we're the so-called Hebrew, whatever, we would not know how to act. We wouldn't know what to do with it. You can't tell these. I don't even want to say that word, but you can't tell these colored folks nothing good. They don't know how to act when you tell them. You don't know how to act. You don't know what to do with it. You don't know what to do with such power. You don't know how to step into that. They done took that from you. I refuse to believe that it was a bunch of idiots on a boat being brought here pooping on each other. No, these were some smart people that were stripped. But why were they able to be given over like that? What's really going on here? This is why some of y'all sit around so confused as black people wonder why Africans don't get along with you. We ain't the same just because we got same skin color. Let me tell you something about skin color and how they really tricked us. Race is a trick. It's a trick. And it causes you to lose sight of your true nation, right? For me, my nation is anyone who follows Christ. I'll put a white man before one of you black men. I'll put a so-called Spanish man before one of y'all too, because if they follow Christ, that's my so-called race. Race don't really exist, and in some places in the world, race don't exist. It's about where they from, things like that. Like you were a people that was set apart from other people that have the same skin tone as you. We're not all the same. Stop thinking black people this, black people that. Get out of that. It's time to come into who you really are, right? That's why they can't deny it. Why do you think they're going so hard with this whole anti-Semitic stuff? I wasn't shocked when I saw it nonetheless, because I already knew what was going on. I been knew that this was going to happen. I told you guys about my dream. You can go back and watch it. I got like over 6,000 views on YouTube, you know, because I told you guys about my dream. But, don't listen to anything I say. Just go out there and do your own research. Tell black people that they're Hebrew Israelites right now. Some of us receive this well. Some of us take it on the shoulder and be like, okay. Because if you read the Bible, I've read the Bible front to back, like the same way you read any other book, right? I've read every word that's in that book, right? The book that we've been given. We don't know what mistranslations are in there. We don't know these things, right? But the book that God has, He has allowed for us to sit here and read and whatever, and it's clearly a story book that shows you the lineage um, of these people all the way through King David, all the way through Jesus, and then it gives you, some good instructions on how to be a Christian afterwards. When you read the Bible, what you get from it as a black person or a person of color, these groups of people I named, whatever. And this is how you know that the telling black people Hebrew Israelites is dangerous. They don't mention nobody else when they talk about it. These black people who have come to this knowledge, they don't mention no one else. They just sit up there and go off of that. It's a scary thing because there's no shame. When I first figured out like this this truth that we are those people, I remember feeling ashamed. Like, wait, what? So we've been messing up way longer than like. I mean, it's really more of a slap. Maybe they was trying to save us emotionally. I don't know, because it's like, damn, we been pushing God away. Now you look at us now. We want to do everything but God. Look at black people compared to most other races of people. So this is what I'm trying to explain to you. I want you to wake up and realize that this is serious business. Um, it's not a calling to be arrogant or look down on white people and we're the ones that set apart. You say you set apart, black women go run to go take, because your identity, a lot of times was in his hair. Why do you think even when Jesus was described, it's described his hair, right? Um, this sets you apart. Nobody else has this kind of hair, and you run to go put this silky weave in your hair. Um, you know, every time we say the N word, it's a bad thing. When we, when you should, it should humble you. It should humble you with your head down like this, like I submit to your will. It should humble you. I mean, there's people so caught up in just trying to get the race of it, like, oh, we're black people and this is our true identity. So humble yourself now. Your true identity is as a servant. hmm You know, his yoke is easy, his burden is light. Your true identity is as a servant. See, these are things that it would go into a deeper conversation about. But your true identity is that of a servant. That's why you always serve in something. You may not be, you gonna serve something. You were literally made to be right under God. So you gotta think, you gonna always serve something. But what's gonna be your God today? Mr. Hebrew Israelite man, Mr. Black man. Who is your God? Who is your God gonna be today? The hood? Favorite rapper? What's your religion or whatever? You a blood? You a crip? That's a religion. Those are religions. Those are religions. If you take it serious, that's a religion. Some of them do more for these gangs than Christians or Catholics or Muslims do for their religion. It's a religion, bro. What's your God gonna be? Your booty? A woman? Penis? What's your God? What's your God gonna be? You gotta ask yourself these questions. As a now that you know you a Hebrew Israelite, do you know what come with that? Do you know that when you set apart, you are given great power, but you're also given a lot more responsibility? You also get a lot more punishment, which is why we're the most punished people on this planet. Why do you think that is? And our brothers and our allies. Why do you think we? Cause look what we did. We turned away. You were stripped. You were given knowledge again. You still didn't receive it. I don't want to pray to no white Jesus. Now look at you. Now you worry about all the wrong things. They done got you so caught up. You wouldn't recognize God if he was standing right in front of you because they told you he was white. So you don't even know God. You can't ever have a relationship with God. You still think God is here to whoop you on, beat up on you. God is a God of love and grace. That's for sure. He is a God of correction and punishment as well. Your punishment is up if you don't want it to be. You are welcome to come into a place of peace, brother, but you have to give up all these stupid ways of thinking And you can't get arrogant. This is not the time to get arrogant and jump up in white people's face. Ha ha ha, I'm the real Jew. This is the time to be humble and realize that, yeah, exactly, like you just said, you're the real Jew. And you have not been doing a good job, sir. So if you want to jump up and claim this Hebrew Israelite title, cool. But just know what come with it. And just know that it is not a time to spit upon white people or people who are not black or Spanish, as we call them. Spanish. Look, they gave them the name too. Spanish. Them folks ain't Spanish. Them folks ain't from Spain. They got us speaking French, Creole, English. These folks over here speaking Spanish like they from South Europe. Man, no, no, no. But what you gonna do with that information now? If you the one that's set apart, you should be the leader, but you the leader by being the best follower you could ever be. Follow Christ. Follow Yeshua. God. Follow God through Christ. That's why he sent Christ as the ultimate atonement. There's 3 levels of being saved. And it all come with blood. That's the only way, sacrifice with blood. Before Jesus, they had to go, put animals, their best animals, stuff like that, right? Then Jesus' blood is covering us right now. Once Jesus come back and he take the church with him, get what's next? You the sacrifice. Your blood gonna have to be spilled. You gonna have to be a martyr. So you better get it while it's hot. Right? Don't worry about Hebrew. Don't worry about Gentile. Don't worry about black and you. That's who you are. It's just who you are. But it's not a time to make you arrogant and cocky and full of yourself. That's what I see black people doing with this whole new information for them. Oh, I'm a Hebrew? Oh, yeah, yeah. Shut up. You lost the chance to be that if you ever were to be that. You lost that chance. Now here we are. We in Exodus again. We walk around 40 years right now in the wilderness. This is the wilderness. And it's being destroyed. That's why people starting to wake up and say, oh, this hood stuff is lame. All this gangster rap is lame. All this shooting people is lame. Gangbanging is lame. Selling drugs, lame. People starting to wake up. They don't want you to wake up. And they know that if they can pollute you as much as possible and corrupt you as much as possible, make you arrogant as much as possible, by the time you do wake up, you'll be so arrogant it won't matter. You'll get cast out again. And this time it's done. There's only 144,000. Remember that. 144,000. Kim Kardashian has at least 30 million people that follow her on Instagram. 144,000 people is not a lot of people. 12,000, to break it down by 12,000 is even less. Some of y'all got 5,000 friends on Facebook. And another 3,000, 10,000 on Instagram. Then another 800 or something on Twitter. Then another 1,500 on TikTok. Some of y'all watching right now have more followers on Instagram than 144,000 people. What you gonna do with this information? Oh, you a Hebrew Israelite? What you gonna do about it? Every other identity that's given to you has been used against you. We will talk about this more.